All right. Welcome to another Wednesday with your host, Mr. Kyle Fugit. What is going on? It's another Wednesday training. Here we are, 1 p.m. Eastern, live. So there's nothing scripted, right? We just have some fun on these things. But we learn a ton of information, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you a lot of information. That's it. Period. End of story. You got to make some money. So let's make some money. All right. Now, last week, if you were a part of our training, if you were here live or if you watched it after, I don't care. Either way, if you watched it, we went through more or less like understanding how to see, like, it's Pricelabs, but I would say it's like level one. Okay. Like understanding what our market looks like, understanding what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. Do we understand the booking trends? Do we understand, like, you don't have any bookings, your listing is perfect, and like we have empty calendars. So what are we doing? Well, understanding the market, for instance, is a big one. So like, for instance, for an example, we talked, I had somebody send me a listing, I think it was like in sometime last year. And he was like, hey, beautiful property in Florida, can't get any bookings. And actually, before I keep going, like, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me okay? Like, give me a thumbs up. Give me a, Brittany said, woo-hoo, or something like that. I think that's supposed to say woo-hoo. I'm not sure. But, like, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you can hear me. Everything's cool. Whoops, muted myself. Sorry. I'm going to just double check my audio here. Everything looks good. Oh, I increased my mic volume. So there we go. All right. So anyways, I get this listing from a student, and he says, hey, like, it's a beautiful property, beautiful listing. I cannot get this thing booked, and the pricing is perfect. I said, okay, well, like, let's look at it. And so immediately we pulled it up and noticed that it was a 7-night minimum stay. And I looked at Airbnb or AirDNA, and I said, hey, like, how, like, you have a 7-night minimum? He was like, yeah, it's like a super standard here or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, AirDNA says you have 3-night stays. Like, it's an average 3-night stay. You wanted to book 7 nights. Not sure how we're going to get this thing booked up. Maybe a booking every once in a while, maybe far out. But, like, I don't know what to tell you. So we lowered it, and now immediately, boom, done. Solved it. Today, we're on a coaching call a little bit ago, and there's a property actually in my market that they're renting, and the average is like 3 days right now. Very, very similar. Have no idea how it was booked like this, but it was 4-night minimums and 7-night minimums. And they're not getting any traction. Great property on the river. Great. Pricing isn't too high or anything like that. Listings better now. Like, we worked on the listing a little bit. And it's like 4 nights and 7 nights. And they didn't even realize it because they're in 2 different markets. And I think, like, this is my opinion, I think that the other market, like, they had it attached to a group or something like that in that market. And so it came back, and it was 4 and 7 minimum nights. So hopefully we change it. And there's some amenity things that I think, like, they're going to work on, but we changed it. And I'm hoping that we can have a handful of bookings because we're coming in busy season. They'll have a handful of bookings over like the next day or two. Then they can actually start ramping this thing up, because we have to understand, like, as we're listed and we're not getting any bookings, and we realize our views are dropping, like in Airbnb Insights, like the views are dropping, conversions are dropping, we're not getting anything. Our listing looks undesirable to Airbnb. And so what they do is they start dropping it. Like, we start dropping in the algorithm, dropping. And it's really hard to come back up. So I would just say, like, we're just removing all of the filters, if we will. We're releasing all of the levers or whatever, and we're just booking. Like, we're doing everything that we can to start producing bookings, because when we can produce some bookings, then we can realize, like Airbnb can realize, like, okay, we're in demand, we're doing well, it is desirable, and they start ramping us back up. All right. So it's very important that we understand the market when we start trying to book. Now, that's level 1, right? Like, that's stage 1. That's what we did last week. This week, we're booking, but I want to know, are we making enough money? So are we maximizing our revenue? And that could be orphan days, that can be stays, that can be far out pricing. We're going to go through a lot today, and every market is a little different. Okay, so like I know there's a lot of AI out there with Revenue IQ from IntelliHost, or Pricelabs has its tips and tricks and all this stuff, but we have to understand what we're doing and be in line with if we're going to get bookings far out. So, for instance, we were on a call and it was like, I think it was Revenue IQ gave the statistics of like, hey, it needs to be a 20% increase gradually over the next like 100 outside 90 days to 120 days. Like it's a 20% increase of premium. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. We used to do that. Like years ago, we used to do that. It was like 20, 30, 40% higher than everybody else if you're going to book far out. And we're like, hey, look, if they're going to book out, and it worked, and we're going to book out that far, like they're going to pay a premium. What happens is there's a couple of negative sides to that. If you're working in Pricelabs, you have like pricing demand. I mean, you have market demand, you have seasonality, all of these things rope in, and then you put a 20% premium on it. You're pricing yourself out of the market so hard that like nobody's going to book you. And during conversation, it was very apparent because we talked about there are no far out pricing. There's no far out bookings. It's mainly like within the next couple of months. It's probably because we're too expensive. I would rather rolling into a month with like 40, 50, 60% occupancy rolling into a month. That way we can start really trying to capture those bookings in between, right? If it's going to be orphan days or whatever. So just keep that in mind. We're going to go through a lot of different things. And I just want everybody to like keep your mind open. Like you're going to grow some awareness through this. And there may be something I say or do, and you're like, oh my God, I think that would work perfectly. Or you say, I had no idea. Let me investigate it a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to show my calendar, and we're going to, for all of them, and then we're going to dive into like one or two properties just to give you an idea. Now, understand, I'm in Blue Ridge. I'm in the North Georgia, South Smokies Mountains, whatever, Blue Ridge Mountains. So there's going to be things that like work great for me that don't work for you. There's going to be things that work great for you and don't work for me. But it's not how we're doing it, it's what we're doing, right? Like if it's an orphan day, you need to focus on orphan days. If it's a minimum or a nightly stay or a minimum nightly stay or something like that, like it's the same concept, it's the same avenue, but it may be a little bit different. So the actual like how and very, very like granular, maybe a little bit different for your market. And that's where you can take it back to AirDNA and say like, does this work? Does that not work? And then you're testing stuff. And then like, once you test stuff, you're paying attention. All right. Now I'm off my soapbox. I want to know, like, as you guys are joining, as we're watching this, like if you have questions, if you're struggling, is there something, maybe something's like a black box for you and you just don't fully understand? Maybe I can like briefly go over as we dive into this. But like really, like if you don't understand your numbers, you don't understand your property. If you don't understand your property, you don't understand your numbers. Like you have to be tracking and looking and seeing where we're at. And honestly, if we're struggling, you should be in here twice a day, just looking, just learning, just, alter this or alter that. Well, I'll think twice a day, at least once a day. No less like once a day. All right. So if you're struggling now, if it's going and it's pumping, if you're just trying to maximize, then like we're looking at this like 2 or 3 times a week. Okay. But things that we're going to go over today, we're going to go over price increase, price decrease, of course, when and how to do it, minimum stays, orphan days, some seasonality stuff. We're looking at like double checking where we're at. I mean, also there's like stays and like if you set up an orphan day, are you just doing orphan day or are you doing orphan day with the discount? Are you tracking what you're changing? There's 1 night minimum, like 1 night price change. And then there's like if you're going to, discount nights or whatever, you discount all the nights or you discount like 1 night, like severely, but still have some kind of like, hey, you have to book 3, 4, 5 nights. Like, what are we doing? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through some stuff and understand, like, if you're slap booked, raise your prices. Like, that's the best I can tell you. We're going to talk about a little bit more as we go. So let me share my screen. Let's see here. Okie dokie. Now, not all of these are in Blue Ridge. A lot of them are, but not all of them are. And they're not all cabins. Some of these are like a 4-unit and some minis. So if you've been paying attention for a while, you already know this. But if you're just joining and you're just have some questions, like some book, some don't, like some seasonality is a little bit different than some of the others one we have. But I'm going to focus on some that are in Blue Ridge that are doing well and some that are kind of like in the middle. Okay, just so like we have full transparency across the board. All right, so here's the calendar. And if you look at this, like this was changed from yesterday, right? Yesterday we were in here because we were like really hot season. And we want to see kind of like where we're at, what we're doing, what's working, what's not, right? Because we're always trying to test new stuff too. Now, first things first. If you're in Pricelabs, you do not want to change your base price a lot. Like ideally in a perfect scenario, perfect world, we change our base price once a year, and that's to increase our rates once a year. That's what your base price is for. You don't want to go in there month to month and say, well, I'm not booking very well this month. This is where you'll lose money right here. Is you're like, well, I'm not booking well this month, or like you're coming into a slower season. So you naturally think, well, I just need to lower my base price. What that does is that changes your pricing for like your busy season too. So once we set a base price, we don't want to touch it again. If we need to put a discount over an entire month, then do that on the entire month. Like you can click, like you can literally click and drag for the entire month. You can go into that calendar, you can do it for the whole month. Do not change your base price because you screw yourself when it comes to the future. Okay, just putting that out there. So let's look at Blue Turtle Villa. This is my it's a very high-end property for us. It is a very staple property for us. I love this. I mean, I love them all, but I love this property. So you can see like we're pretty booked, and we've got some 3 nights in here. Some of these are 4-night, 5-night, 6-night, 7-night stays. And just as before I click in, just as like an overview of like looking at this full calendar, you can see I've got some like 3-night minimums in here. I've got 10% off here. I've got 15% off here. I think this was actually like a couple of days open right here. And I was trying to book them, but as it comes, it like the other goes away. I put a 10-nighter on here. This is a 4-unit. When you'll see 10 nights, you'll see, okay, this is a 2-night. I got this entire one discounted right here. And actually had this booked up yesterday for July 4th. So that shows that the pricing for this cabin's like really, really far out there. And you have to be honest with yourself. Like, is it really far out there? Is it not? Like, where are we located? And then you can see like we got some 2-nighters in here. We got some 3-nighters in here. So you can see like I'm changing the minimum night stay as well. As we get closer to this like July 4th weekend, we were pushing for 4- and 5-night minimums. And it was more or less like, does it stick? But you have to be aware and cognizant of what you have. And so when we get closer and we realize, hey, like 5-night was like, this is a little bitty cabin. Does it make sense for a couple to stay 5 nights? Probably not, right? That's more like a 3-night stay. So we just lowered this to 3 nights. I did 3 nights here. This is a suite, a 2-person suite. So boom, had a couple of 3-night bookings through here, right? This was a 5-night or 4-night. Yeah, I think it was 5-night. So like we changed some of these, didn't change the pricing. We just changed the minimum night stay. Now I want you to think about like if you're going to go in and you're going to change all these things, if you change the minimum night stay and you need to change the pricing, like you're thinking you want to change both, don't do both. That's how you lose money. So just do one. And I would pull the severe minimum night stay. Don't change the pricing. If anything, and you absolutely had to change the pricing, go up 5%. Because they're going to save, like if they look at booking total and they want to book 3 nights versus 5 nights on something like this, that's $100 a night. So they're going to save $200 by not having to book the full 5 nights. And even if you put a discount on it first and you left your 5-night minimum, you put a 20% discount or 10% discount on the whole thing, it may be so low price that like people would be stupid not to take it, but they don't want to stay 5 nights. They can't stay 5 nights. It's not realistic to stay 5 nights. So only do one. And as you get closer, like say you're in, I don't know, let's say you're in that 30-day window and you're like, hey, this isn't booked. Let's lower the minimum night stay. And then we can put a discount on it. Maybe say like a week and a half in, then we can put a discount on it. Like let people book it, right? Like let people go through it. Let people see it. Let people find you. So like Just because you don't get a booking over a day and that doesn't get booked that day, like give it some time, okay? Because we're too rapid in changing. Like we're too quick to change, and then like it doesn't work and we change something else. And it doesn't work, we change something else. But this is very important. Lower your minimum night stay first, and then you can change your pricing, okay? If you're going to change your pricing, that's fine, but don't do both at the same time, okay? Just do the minimum night stay first. All right, so that's one. That's a big one. Your orphan days are a big one too. So if you're going to do orphan days, like right here, we could do orphan. That's a $550 night orphan day. What I would do is I would offer first. I would offer a discounted rate here to this party, after or before. And I'd say, hey, for 40% off, we can get you this night instead of $550. It's going to be $300. Okay. There's no extra clean fee. There's no extra check-in, check-out. It's just the same person either checking in super, super early or checking out super, super late. That's it. That's all it is. So if you're going to work this, always work it between your two families first. And there's some automations you can set up. Like if one night before is open and one night after is, open or whatever, you can offer that, and you offer them you can do 40 or 50% discount. Okay. Like, especially if you own the cabin or you own the property, you're talking an extra $300 for sending a message. Here, you're talking about an extra $125 for just sending a message. That's it. That's all it is. It's an extra $200 here if you just send the message. Now, if you're managing and you have a higher gross in property like this, that's an extra $60. Your company, you personally made $60 by sending that message. $70, $80, $30, $40. So like you do that over and over and over again, and especially in your high season, like absolutely. You do that 3 times. That's like that pays for a really, 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 really nice dinner for you personally, for you and the family, right? Like, so the thing about that. Don't just say, well, it's only $50. Like it's $50. You do that 4 times, it's $200. All right, so I have an opportunity here, like down here, like those opportunities come up a lot more than just one. It comes up a lot. All right. Now, if you have, and I'm just going through orphan days right now, and then we're going to dive into one of these. And these are just ideas, right? I want to give you like awareness to these ideas that you can say, oh my God, like I'm going to pull my calendar up right now and I can make an extra $200 or $300. We are squeezing dollars out of this. We are maximizing revenue. You do these things, it's an extra $1,000. Just like that. Boom. Like I do that here, it's an extra $300. Right? If I do this over here, let's see here. There's not a big gap. There's a really big gap here. Let's see if there's another opportunity over here. There was an opportunity here, but we booked up the entire stay. I got a 3-nighter here. So orphan days goes down to 2, right? We'll talk about that in a second. But like, come on. What are we doing? Somebody booked through here and I have another opportunity here. And so you do things like this. That's an extra $1,000. It's an extra $1,500, $2,000. Like if the point is to make more money, let's do it. Right now, if you have 3-night minimums or 4-night minimums and you have some bookings around, then we need to start working our orphan days. There's a lot of these that pop up, right? So an orphan day is anything that at the booking window is less than your minimum night stay. So you can have a 5-night minimum. Somebody books around and now you have 4 days open. If you don't have something like an orphan day set up, then you will never book those 4 nights. We have to work something to say, hey, if it's less than 5 nights, it actually goes to a 3-night minimum, right? You don't want to go to the exact same 4-night to 4-night. Like, let's say this is the 5-night here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's say this is normally a 6-night minimum, both sides, and somebody books with this big window open, and you don't have anything set up for orphan days, and it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to allow 5 days. That means they have to book here. What we want to do is create more opportunity for ourselves. So we can say, hey, we can actually do a 3-night minimum. And if that 3-night minimum comes in here, let's say they book it here, 1, 2, 3, then we have this area right here to upsell. So we can either upsell that family more, or we upsell this family more, or we just offer a 2-night minimum here, or maybe a 1-nighter, if that's what we want to do. So we're creating opportunity. We're almost like hustling within our calendar. It's like the calendar hustle. Like we're hustling. We're trying to get these things working. We're trying to produce some more income for us and our owners. And at the end of the day, we're also providing a super late checkout or super early check-in, right? So if we're offering this day right here, we want to go on the people to check in early and say, hey, look, for 40, like standard night's $420. We're offering this rate for 40% off. Would you take it? Would you like it? Right? If they say no, cool. Then we're going to offer it to this family. Hey, would you guys like to stay an extra night for 40% off? It's, $320 or whatever it is. If they say no, that's cool. Then what we can do is we can offer it as an orphan day and say, hey, we're going to drop this right here. You can see 20%. So your orphan days drop a percentage and the nightly rate. I mean, the nightly rate and the nightly minimum. So we're working both sides, pricing and restriction. And we're working that in here, right? So this is unbookable because we don't want to book a one-night stay through here. But you can remove this unbookable feature. This triangle right here says it's unbookable. So we could take that off. Personally, we would rather sell it to or, before or after. But if they both decline it, then turn it on, right? They're going to get charged with a clean fee. Yes, I know that. But it'll be a super easy stay, super easy clean. All right. Let's see. So we want to create opportunity. We want to hustle our calendars. We want to optimize our revenue. Now, if you are slap booked and you're like, hey, look, I'm already making really, really good money on this cabin right here. We're already booked for 20-something thousand bucks, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you don't want to do it. Cool. But what if you have 2 nights in here and you say, you know what? This weekend's still open. I'm already at 20K. I actually don't want to book this room. Like if I do, it's going to be at a premium. And you go in and you book you raise the rate 20% or 30%. If that's what you want to do. You're already hitting your numbers. You're already making really good money. So you can definitely take the price up. I would contact the before and the after. I would do my personal, like if I'm trying to create some more revenue and it's open, I'm going to do a little bit of a slight discount, but you could definitely take the pricing up if you're just like, I absolutely don't want to book it. Like if somebody's going to book it, they're going to book it at a premium. Cool. That's totally cool. All right, let's see here. So those are some. We're just going to go into this property right here. Maybe. There we go. We go to the pricing calendar. Again, we got questions? Let me know. Everything's running slow for me now since I'm sharing my screen and reloading. Pricelabs gets like that. Pricelabs gets like that. I'm not sure why. All right. So let's see here. We're going to go through some of these customizations too. And I just want you to see some of these things. So what we have, and we want to be careful in the seasonality, the demand factor. We want to be careful on this stuff. Okay. Pricelabs will turn a lot of this stuff on. And it will be so out of whack because you have it off, but then it results like it defaults back to a Pricelabs. It defaults back to a Pricelabs like recommended thing, and it's crap. Okay, actually, I'm not even gonna do Blue Turtleville. Let's do Tranquility. Right, Blue Turtle is like super high end. It's got some crazy stuff. Let's go to Tranquility on the Tacoma. Tranquility is a 2-bedroom cabin on the river. It's a nice, smaller, quaint cabin. So this is going to be more in line with like not a super, super high-end property, but like an average to like that 75th percentile. So just FYI. 2 questions. Do you give Airbnb and VRBO the same rates? Yes. And curious. I used to not, Brittany. We used to do 3%, 8%, and I don't do that anymore. That was the markup out of the PMS. We don't do that anymore. Curious about seasonality for sure. Okay, so this is good. So let's do this really quick. I just want you guys to see this. This was had a call right after this training last week because of seasonality and demand factor. Excuse me. I want you guys to see something. So seasonality. All right. This is group level, but if you turn this off, it will automatically result, like it'll automatically defer back to like a and I don't want to go in and change my group level or whatever, but it will automatically result back to something like aggressive or moderate. It's close to like moderately aggressive or aggressive, something like that. So if you realize, like if you come in here and you go into your calendar and you say, okay, well, we're not booked here. And we're going to say, well, seasonality. So if you just hover over the price, it'll show you everything. Seasonality is plus 17%. Demand factor is plus 13%. So the base would be 233, and then we're upping it to 264. Okay, so we've got like 20%. I'm sorry, 30%, something like that. But it builds, right? It's not just like 30% total. It's 17%, it's 13%, it's 264. And then if you have a discount or something like that in there, it'll show it. But if you look at that, seasonality and demand factor are probably the two most misunderstood things. So if we go in and we wanted to say, okay, seasonality and demand, right? So here's the two. So if we go into seasonality, if you say, hey, look, I just want to see is my seasonality throwing me through the loop. I'm gonna confuse you guys, but let's go back to neighborhood data. If we say like we're just gonna look at, I don't know, this area right here. So seasonality, like obviously seasonality is what it says, right? Seasonality is like, hey, Christmas is a little higher because there's usually a lot of bookings. Thanksgiving is a little higher. These months are a little bit higher. There's a lot of more people searching. Cool. That is like seasonality, right? Like it goes with the trends and says, okay, well, January, February are normally horrible, so like the rate should be lower. There's less people traveling. March, April, May, okay, it starts kind of like going up. Then June, July is high seasonality. Then it goes down. That's just like an overall thing. And then you have demand factor. That's how many people are actually searching for that weekend, right? It's looking like what's booked, what's not. Like people are going, people are coming. That's where the demand factor comes in, right? There's not as many places on the market. Like there's a lot more bookings. Like that's a demand factor. So we have to be very careful, especially when we blend those two together. When we blend those two together, the rates go through the roof and we will price ourselves out of the market, period, end of story. So if we just look and we say like, well, this weekend of October is like crazy. So October 11th, we're like super, super high. So we can see like if we come in here and we make sure like our comps are right and we're comping against a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, whatever, and we see this black line like way up here, right? A lot of you stop looking at this graph. This graph will continually change. Every month you need to be looking at this graph. This graph will change. The farther we are away from Christmas, the lower the Christmas naturally rates are. The closer we get in, the Christmas rates go up. And you're going to be pissed if you're supposed to be renting Christmas for $1,000 a night and your seasonality and your demand factor fall and you book it for $350 a night. You're going to be pissed. No matter when they booked, you're just going to be mad. Okay. So we need to keep an eye on that because this is how you make more money. Okay. You can get it booked, but are we booking at super low rates? Pay attention. The seasonality and the demand. There's no demand for Christmas. Well, there is a little bit now. But like in January, there's no demand for Christmas. So that demand is going to fall. Right? If you have super aggressive demand and it falls like super aggressively, people are going to book up. You're going to be pissed. I know. Ask me how I know. Right? It's happened. So if we go in here and we say, okay, well, like October 11th, October 12th. Well, let's go to the calendar and let's just see what October looks like. So October 2025. All right. It's super high. Holy smokes. Seasonality. We're not booked for October. Seasonality is plus 40%. So our base rate's 230, right? I said don't like, I'm not changing. 230 is what this says. We're at 40% is 321, and then another 47%. We're at 473. Like, holy smokes. And then I've got a 10% override for October. So now that I have a manual, I have a manual increase and I have the market increases for what Pricelabs is showing. I'm at $520 a night. And to be honest, that is way too expensive, just to be honest. So I technically could just pull that 10% off, or I could look at my demand factor over here and my seasonality. So if we pop in and we look at demand factor and seasonality, these two things will prevent you from making money, but it will also make you a lot of money. So you have to be careful. You have to be cognizant of what you're looking at. So what I like to do is like, let's say we're not booking very, very well. We're going to go in here to demand factor, and you can put conservative. So if I put conservative, you can look at this chart right here, and I can just see what changes. I think I actually am in conservative. Hold on. Let's see. Let's go to moderately aggressive. So if we go to moderately aggressive, let's see how much higher that puts our peaks. So that weekend that I said October 11th, we're at like 520. The new price is going to be 770. Holy crap. We're already not booked. You're telling me you're going to be $250 more a night? Holy smokes, okay? So we want to go back to conservative. Actually, I'm going to turn it off because it's back to my group is at conservative. So, like, look at the changes again. Look at where it changes it. Right? Boom. Exact same place it was, to be honest. But I'm going to turn that off. So that's your demand factor. And then if you go to your seasonality, it's very similar. So seasonality, let's say, I think it normally is like, it is close to this moderately aggressive. Okay, recommended is here. Look at this. Boom. Problem again. Now, if you have both of those on, like, we're so expensive, it's not funny. It's crazy. So if we go to recommended, let's just see what it says. It's still stupid high. Nobody's going to book this cabin for $700 a night. There's no, like, that doesn't even make any sense, okay? So if we go back to conservative, we start booking up a little far out. And our far out bookings, we have to get close. We gotta get clear on who's booking out. If we need to be in line with the market, or if we can put a small premium on it, like, we need to figure that out. So there's your demand and seasonality. Joe, I hope that helped you. But just like understand that if you do not pay attention, it could be the reason you're not booking far out. You can have both of these on on recommended, and then our rates are so stupid high, nobody would ever book you. So I'm going to discard those changes, and then we can tell that inside of this graph right here. Okay, so technically I need to pull that 10% increase in October so I can start booking up. And I can book still at a premium, but this is too much of a premium, right? We're going to get to October, we're not going to have any bookings. That's going to be a problem. So we want to book those months up before we get there. So conservative, yes, I do, Joe. Personally, yes, I do. So if we go back to, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's go back to here. So that's conservative. I mean, that's seasonality and demand factor. Those could be the reason that you don't make any money, but it could also be the reason that you make a little bit more money. So like if you realize you're booking really well, your calendar's looking full, go in there and change it from conservative to moderately conservative. See if you get any more bookings. See if people are starting to book those premium rates. So that's a way you can squeeze a little bit more money out. So that's kind of like an automatic set it and forget it thing. Now, if you're looking at something like orphan days, right? Not a lot of people really utilize the orphan days. Here's what I would do. Okay, so you have pricing and then you have minimum night stays. If you have orphan days off or pricing off, it goes back to default, right? So I need you guys to understand this because I had several questions about like, well, I don't have it turned on. Well, it's not that you don't have it turned on. It's on. It's just on what they recommend. So their default is 20% discount is applied to gaps of 2 nights or less. 2 nights, okay? So if we have a 5-night minimum and we're trying to run orphan days for 4, we have to make sure our pricing aligns with the 4, all right? Now, that's the pricing. If we go to, let's just go to minimum stay settings. This is all at my group level because I have this property in a group. Here we can work. I don't know if I can change this. You can see it here. Yes, okay. Orphan days. So this just says 2 nights. So in between 2 nights, we have it's a 2-night minimum between 2 and 4 nights. So if it's a booking under 4 nights, I don't go to 3, I just go to 2. So we can create some opportunities in there too, right? If we just go to 4 or 3, then we're like really restricting on when they can book. And if that falls into like a Tuesday to Friday or like, I'm sorry, Wednesday to Saturday or something like that, nobody's going to book on a Wednesday. Like traditionally, like nobody's going to book on a Wednesday to book for 4 nights. right? So you want to have that like, well, they could check in Friday, Saturday. They could check in Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we got to be kind of like cognizant of like what people are doing. Like, are they W-2 workers? Are they asking off for vacation? Are they, like, what are they doing? Okay, when do they want to check in? So understand that you have like your orphan gaps, and then you have your pricing, and you want to like combine those the best way possible. Okay. So that, I mean, that's all I really have to say about the orphan days. So like orphan days are probably the most underutilized things. Like we only seem to utilize it when we need it. Like, oh, we got to increase bookings. But like, what about when you're already making killer money? When you're already making killer money, you have to utilize it a little bit more too, because we're trying to set records for ourselves. We're trying to get, year over year increases on these things. Okay. Or maybe you have a couple of properties and one is struggling and you need the revenue out of the other one to help carry the little one. Or maybe you're in adverse markets, right? What if you have a slow market and a busy market at the same time? We have to figure out how to use this. And I talk to more and more people who just like sign up for Pricelabs and then just set it and forget it, and they never talk about it again. All right, far out pricing. Now understand AirDNA and what your market shows can help guide you through this. Like, are there a lot of people booking out? Maybe there's a lot of people booking out and I'm not getting any bookings. Well, maybe our far out pricing is too high. That's where that 20% that I was talking about before comes in. All right. What we do for Blue Ridge is if you book over 120 days, we just have a flat premium of 10%. Now remember, if you have conservative or you have, your seasonality, your demand factor, all that kind of stuff too is being pushed. Where does that fall in line with our 10% premium? If you have a 20% premium on here, you may just be like overshooting yourself. So your custom far out right here, we used to, a long time ago, I think I said this, we used to, like years ago, anything booked over like 120 days, we had like a 30% premium on it. And then you have seasonality, then you have demand factor, and you have all this stuff, and it's just stupid. Like you're scrambling for bookings when the month gets here, and we don't want to be in that position. We want to be looking and utilizing the last minute bookings, or not last minute bookings, but your orphan days or your last minute, like, hey, like let's up the price, let's offer this, let's offer that. You want to be focused on that, not focused on an empty calendar. You focus on an empty calendar, you're just trying to book whatever you can book. If you're focused on very slim days, that's where we start optimizing revenue. All right. Now you have far out and then you have last minute. So far out, I would just go with like something like a premium of 10%. Now, if everybody's booking out that far and you realize like, man, I'm still booking up like crazy, even at 10% premium, go to 20. Like if the demand is there, then increase it. But if you're not getting anything, then I wouldn't go to 20 or 30%. You're just pretty much confirming like they're not going to book with you. Does that make sense? You're giving them a reason not to book. So maybe you actually offer like a far out rate of like a -5 or 10%. Maybe they save some money if they book far out. It's kind of like hotels. We have like, hey, super far out bookings. We offer a little bit of a discount because you're prepping and we see the income before we get there. Because the idea is we have a lot of inventory. We want to sell as much as we can. All right. Now, last minute prices. So we offer, because we have a lot of bookings within a week, we offer a 5% discount within 7 days flat. Now, that's automatic. It's not that big of a drop, but it's still a drop. And now if we realize like, hey, we're still not booked up, let's say we're 3 days in or something like that, we realize, hey, weekend's coming up, we're not booked for whatever reason, then we can do like an extra 10%. But you have to remember that you have this 5% on there already. So if 5% is not working, then we need to up it, right? We need to do something like 10% or whatever. But this is where you get really clear on what you have set up and what you don't have set up. And when you're looking at this, you're like, all right, cool. Like we have the same settings pretty much across the board. I say the same. It's really close. Like we got some different groups. But when you're working with last minute price, if there's nobody booking last minute deals, like Florida Keys, for instance, if they're not booking within 30 days, if they don't have a booking within 30 days, they're typically not going to book it. And that's what I was told. And I said, cool. What if we were the ones that got booked? Because when I looked at the statistics, I was like, there's still 100 people booking. We're just not getting it. Why? Well, in my opinion, it's probably because our prices are the same as it would be if you booked like 6 months out. So why don't we just like compress those prices even more, right? Not just 5%, but maybe 20%. If you're booking less than 30 days, that's a 20% discount. If that's not working, let's go to 30%. You're already going to make $0. If you're coming into slow season, you have nothing booked within 30 days, 30%. What about 40%? Work with the freaking cleaners. Say, hey, guys, you're not making any money whatsoever. Why don't we do a discounted clean? We're going to lower the clean. We're going to lower the rates. We're going to do all these things. Let's do this together and let's make some money so they can put food on their table too. All right. So that's like, again, we have to understand the market. But these are ways that we can squeeze out some extra stuff. So like if you're coming into something like Florida Keys and you're like, hey, man, I've got a pretty good calendar going, there's not really a lot of optimization I can do because, like, again, if I don't book within 30 days, I'm not going to book at all. Cool. So let's work the reservations we have, but also the rest of it needs to be like a severe discount. Severe, like 30, 40%. We came into last January, we discounted all the rates 30% because 2 Januaries ago, we had like one cabin that booked all the way through January, and that was it. So we said, okay, what if, like I like to test this. I say what if a lot. What if we were fully booked? How would that work? Well, it's not by offering premium rates. We discounted 30%. And we were slap booked through January. I was like, oh, so maybe next time we don't do 30%, we do 20%. But we still booked, and we still had homeowners that could pay their bills, right? January traditionally is pretty slow for us. All right, so that's just kind of like words of wisdom, but that's very important to understand, okay? Days of week pricing, this is important because if you look at your traditional calendar, your history of your calendar, you may find out that you never have a booking on Mondays. This is more so for like ends or for like maybe you do only have a high travel market through the weekend and you don't have really anything that's ever coming through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You could do your day of week pricing and you could severely drop your Mondays or severely drop your Tuesdays or your Wednesdays or whatever. You could do negative 25% here on a Monday. So maybe they're not checking in Monday. Maybe they're checking out Monday. And that would be like a Sunday, but like, your Sunday pricing. Maybe you have no check-ins. Everybody's checking out on Sunday. What if you offered Sunday night? It's like a 30% off discount. So they stay till Monday, or they at least book it. It's cheap enough to book it, and they just leave whenever they want on Sunday. Right? But you have to get clear on your calendar. You have to understand what your booking trends are personally. And if you see that all your Mondays and Tuesdays are just empty, okay, offer Sunday and Monday at a super discounted rate. You never know. I pause like I'm waiting on a response from you guys. All right, let's see here. Rounding, I won't worry about. Smoothing, I won't worry about. You could, again, if you're super seasonal on the weekends, you can do your weekend stuff. Seasonality, demand, occupancy-based adjustments. Now, this can be confusing. But if we just go into edit the profile for occupancy-based adjustments, occupancy-based adjustments is for the entire month. Okay, so if you realize, like, I have mixed emotions about Pricelabs occupancy adjustments. I have mixed emotions. So if you come into the month and it's 20% booked up, you could do a discount. You could still offer, like, your discounts, like, you're negative 10% until you hit 40% of occupancy. I don't know why this is taking so long. There we go. So you could do that. So if you're coming into something like Destin, like Hilton Head, super busy right now. And you have some condos and you're like, hey, look, they book up so quick. Quicker than I can even make an adjustment. Okay. So use something like this. But I wouldn't do the negatives. I would just start at 0. Say, hey, once you hit 50%, then it goes up. So what this does, the way this works, is you have your day ranges, and you can change this, but this is standard. Under 2 weeks, if the next 2 weeks is less than 10% booked, it automatically does 15% discount. Once it hits, if it's under 30% occupancy, you have 10% discount. If you get into like, hey, you're 30 to 60 days out, and you're still 10, like you're let's say 10% or less booked, they'll do a 5% discount. So if you're in a market that's like Hilton Head or like Destin right now, like it's slam packed for Destin, you may not do any of the negative stuff. You may just say, hey, look, I'm going to use these in the next 2 weeks. If it's 70 to 80%, or if it's 80% occupied, we're actually boosting that up. Like we're marking it 10% up. If we're within 2 to 4 weeks out and it's 80%, we're going to mark it up even more. And then once you hit 100%, the reason you would do 100 is like if you have a cancellation, then that'll help you like with some high prices, right? Because if they cancel because they got sick or whatever, it's immediately going to book somebody else, right? So you can play with this. I have mixed emotions about this. I would rather have my finger on the trigger with a lot of the stuff, but this will help you catch some misses. So like, let's say you get sick for 3 or 4 days, and you're coming into super high season. Again, like you have some condos or whatever, and they're just booking like crazy. They're booking faster than you know what to do with it. This will help you just kind of like control that and kind of hedge your bets. Like make you a couple extra bucks, okay? Because you know people are like Destin. Like when it's busy in Destin, you could rent a pile of dog crap for like whatever. But in slow season, it's empty. So it doesn't matter what your listing looks like. If you come in and you're like, hey, I'm 60%, 70%, we know we've hit season automatically, AI, whatever. Like we hit 60, 70% occupancy, that sucker's going up to 100. But we're going to climb our rates at the same time. Versus you having to go in and say, well, you know, this month, okay, what's our occupancy, whatever. That'll just automatically figure it out. So something like that would be great. Something like using it for something like that is great. I just don't like the negative side because like giving a discount under a certain amount, because then you actually, this is very much hotel pricing like this, but you actually are going below your base rate, you're giving a discount, and then you're on the back end trying to make a discount because you're trying to get things booked up. So it's just like this. You got all these discounts added on, and next thing you know, you're renting for super cheap. So like, just be careful. Again, I have mixed emotions about this, but just be careful, okay? And then we talked about far out and last minute. So that's going to be it, right? That's going to be like the majority of like how to squeeze more out. There's all these different things you can do. So like orphan days, utilize the crap out of them. You can play with your occupancy-based adjustments. Like I would be careful on your far out stuff. You want to get your far out stuff booked, but you want to have a little bit of a premium on it. Pay attention to your rates on your holidays. Okay, this is Thanksgiving. Pay attention. Make sure, like, just take a look at your graph. Make sure you're not actually like booking down here, right? Make sure it's up high. If somebody's going to book it right now, then great. We don't have a lot of people booking for Christmas and Thanksgiving yet. Like they do, I've got some, but like it's not in like super high demand. After July, we will start focusing on Christmas. So leave your rates a little higher right now for Christmas and for Thanksgiving. And then when you get past, like for us, when you get past the slow season, past the next busy season, then we're going to start focusing on Christmas. Okay. 6 months out, 4 months out, we're going to really start focusing on Christmas. All right. Let's see. I think that's about it, man. Y'all got any questions? Throw it in the chat. Shoot me a DM. I'll check my phone real quick, wherever it's at. I got some text right before this. Okay. All right. So I'll just wait for a second. If anybody has a question, like throw it in. So like we talked about markets being different, right? Like everybody's situation is a little different. So if you are struggling with this and you need some help, DM me the word help or throw it in the chat here. And what we can do, especially if you're like under 10 properties, we can go over everything that you have. We actually launched it's a 3-month accelerator. So we could talk about that if it's right for you, whatever. But like, let's get on a call and let's chat. And then and it's really just like optimizing what you have, scaling what you have, and we'll just work directly together and really like maximize and audit your portfolio so we can really take your portfolio and your properties to the next level. So DM me help or throw it in the comments here, and then we can jump on a call and like we can go through what you have, and then we can kind of talk about what that looks like. But nonetheless, you'll leave there with at least some audit and at least some pointers to really, you know, take it to the next level on your own. But yeah, I mean, it is not a this is not a one way to do it for every market. So everything is a little bit different, like, you know, California and here. So Cali is way different than us. I mean, we actually, I would say like 3 or 4 years ago, we actually took the exact like customizations out of a market up in New England and applied it in Blue Ridge. And like, we were doing okay, but I was like, man, I can do that. And we can just like copy and paste it. And it destroyed my bookings for like 3 months, just destroyed it. And I was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. So do not, like, just because you see how I have my stuff written does not mean it's going to work perfectly for you. Like, there's things that will work, and then there's things that aren't going to work. For instance, like the day of the week pricing, I've seen people drop, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, negative 25%. That's just crazy, right? Like, that's, you guys understand your own market. No, California does not rock, by the way. John said California rocks. Like, yeah, you know, agree to disagree, right? All right. So if there's anything that I can do for you guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope you kind of see a little bit more into Pricelabs and understand how to really make things work for you and how to actually increase your income and like maximize, like get booked and then maximize what you have, right? So remember what I said, you need some help, DM me help, comment help here. I'll watch for this. We can talk about it. I can give you some pointers so we can move on. And with that, I leave you. If you have any questions at all, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys soon.